Good evening, everyone, once again. My name is Oluremi Bademosi, and for the next 7 minutes or so, I want to share with you a concept I developed while going through some health challenges and the transformation that took place as a consequence of that. The theme of my talk is the power of transformational thinking. Now, some of you might have heard the concept before. Some of you might have an idea what the term actually means. But with respect to my presentation, the term of transformational thinking has a very distinct and very unique understanding. Transformational thinking is a process one goes through that changes the way of thinking from negative feelings, thoughts, and emotions to positive feelings, thoughts, and emotions, and the journey it takes to get there. What am I really saying? Well, if you focus on negative thinking and influences your personality, your relationships, and indeed your overall view of the world, by transforming your thinking from the negative to the positive, your view of the world, your attitude, and your personality will be more positive, which leads to greater overall satisfaction for you, your family, your friends, and your inner circle. The best way of explaining what I mean is to use myself as an example. And I'm going to talk about the process I undertook, which allowed me to transform my thinking as I underwent life and death health challenges. Why me is the question that my friends used to ask. Why me? Why am I going through these health challenges? And I used to say, why not me? I'm no different than anybody else. The question of why me has a very distinct, and it really applies to what I underwent as I was dealing with my health challenges. The reason being is that I used to think about myself as a person that was really healthy, thought I can do anything, didn't really need to visit a doctor. I mean, why should I need to visit a doctor? There's nothing wrong with me. I used to exercise 5 days a week, and I was seemingly in good health. So why not me, if I didn't really take care of myself? So it was Friday, December the 9th, a typical day, nothing extraordinary. I woke up, felt a bit stiff from working out the day before, but that was normal for me. I got out of bed, headed to the bathroom, and began my morning ritual. And as I bent over to brush my teeth, that's when my life changed. I felt a snap take place in my back. I fell to the ground in agony. I had muscle spasms, nerve pain, spinal cord pain, and I felt myself going into shock. Not looking good, huh? It took me 30 minutes to crawl from the bathroom to my bed, which is where my cell phone was, and I called my sister. And I said, I really need to go to the hospital. Something's wrong with my back. So she arrived at my house. She went downstairs to my basement to get my weightlifting belt, which I needed to support my back. We ended up at the emergency room, the emergency ward of the hospital. She got me a wheelchair because I was unable to really walk properly, wheeled me in, and it seemed like it took hours before the doctor actually saw me. When the doctor did see me, I said, well, do I need a CAT scan, x-rays? Nope. He asked me a series of questions, gave me anti-inflammatory drugs, some painkillers, and I went home. The whole of Saturday, I was in agony. I was in pain, couldn't get out of bed. Early Sunday morning, around 1 a.m., I realized I could no longer move my legs. I called my brother and a friend, and I said, look, guys, I need to go to the hospital right away. I cannot move my legs. My brother, en route to my house, he had the good sense of calling the ambulance and said, listen, I'm not going to try to move you. You got a back problem. I don't feel comfortable. By the time the ambulance arrived and my friends, they took about 30 minutes to get me situated in the ambulance, and off I went to King Edward Hospital. I finally got the x-rays and the CAT scan. The doctor, after a couple days, they came in the room and gave us the prognosis. The first thing he said was, you have a compressed spinal cord injury. Okay, does that mean I'm paralyzed? We're not finished yet. You also have multiple myeloma cancer. Okay, well, how long do I have? And so the doctor began to explain exactly what it all meant. One of the things the doctor said is that we need to get you in the right facility that can deal with the spinal cord injury in addition to spinal cord rehabilitation and the multiple myeloma cancer, which is actually a blood cancer. So the doctors, in conjunction with my family, went through the tedious task of trying to find the right facility for me that specialize in all of the things that I needed. One of the things that the doctor said that was very interesting is that we really need to get your brother off the island, because if we don't, we fear for his quality of life if he survives. No, that's not something anyone wants to hear. So how do you stop from panicking and feeling that sense of hopelessness, and you stop thinking about negative thoughts? How do you stop yourself from slipping into depression, which creates negative energy and an aura about you? You do so through the power of transformational thinking. I don't remember much. We managed to find a hospital, and the hospital that we found was the Thomas Jefferson University Hospital, which specialized in spinal cord injuries. They specialize in spinal cord rehabilitation, and they specialize in multiple myeloma. I mean, pretty lucky, huh? I don't remember much of the Airbus flight to Philly, which is where the hospital is located, or the ambulance ride from Philadelphia Airport to the hospital. I was in so much pain and discomfort. And quite frankly, I was in and out of consciousness. The weeks and the months I spent in Philadelphia allowed me to transform my thinking from feeling down, from feeling sorry, getting into a pity party, feeling a sense of hopelessness, all which generates negative energy. For me to deal with my medical issues, I needed to remain optimistic. If I ever wanted to walk again or have some quality of life, I couldn't afford to have a negative cloud hanging over me. From that day forward, I was so ready. I had the surgery. The doctors couldn't guarantee that I would walk again, but they did say the surgery was a success. As to whether I can walk again, what do they know? They don't know me. They certainly don't know me like that. My target during rehab was to walk by cup match. The doctors and the rehab team were telling me, it might take you 9 months, it might take you a year, you might never walk again. I was like, whatever, you guys really don't know me. Rehab was an agony, relearning how to walk, dealing with sciatica, nerve pain, and
Thank you, Olu. So people, you can ask questions right now, and you might want to ask some questions what he was going to say at the end. Here's a question right here. Zoe, can you say it out loud?
I arrived back in Bermuda at the end of February. Yep, this February.
Woo!
Were there any lasting side effects from your broken back?
Other than pain, and pain. Side effects. Well, there are. I'm 1.5 inches shorter, for instance. You know, they had to remove 1.5 inches of my spine, and what I've noticed is that my equilibrium isn't quite what it used to be. And I have to remember that, you know, your torso gives you balance, and I wasn't aware of that until I lost that 1.5 inches in height.
Can you summarize in 2 sentences what the transformational thinking is that we're thinking?
Well, for me, when you're faced with trauma of this magnitude, and you're faced with a situation which is life and death, it's easy to fall into a pattern of depression. It's easy to fall into negative thinking and thinking that there's not going to be any change, especially if the doctors are telling you you might not walk again, you know, and that you might be paralyzed. Transformational thinking is stop thinking along those lines. Turn that negative into positive. And with being fueled by positive energy, positive thinking, positive focus, it actually gives you the catalyst to transform your body, and which is what happened in my case. The moment I stopped thinking negative thoughts and I started thinking positive thoughts, it was almost like the fuel that I needed to inject in my body, and I was able to walk after 3 months. It, partially. It was a combination of things. You know, I was blessed to have a good support system with my family and even friends, and most of them were feeding me positive energy. And so and I think to a large, because I had such a good support system, you don't want to let people down. So I couldn't afford to let myself to, I'm not saying there were times when you do get depressed, but I wasn't there that long, you know, and I moved from depression to optimism real quick. And I think the support system that I have, and just me, understanding where I was, understanding that negative thinking, negative thoughts is not going to help me.
So the other patients that are maybe if you have roommates, how did they impact your morale?
This, I didn't really interact that much with the other patients other during rehab, and the rehab team that I was assigned to were just wonderful. I mean, this is what they do, and also my own stubbornness, because I wasn't supposed to do it, but I was actually working out of my hospital room with the door closed, because I knew if I wanted to walk again, the onus is on me.